The lecture hall of the Interstellar Academy of Sciences buzzed with excited chatter. Beings from across the galaxy filled the seats, some with tentacles, others with multiple eyes, and a few that looked like walking plants. Today was no ordinary day. Professor Zarthul, the famous blue-skinned alien scientist known for his work in species classification, had called an emergency session to present what he called disturbing new findings. In the front row sat Dr. Samantha Powell, Earth's top expert on alien cultures. With her curly brown hair pulled back and her green eyes alert, she checked her translator device one more time. Next to her, Captain Eric Daniels of the Earth Alliance sat with perfect posture in his crisp blue uniform. His weathered face remained calm, but his eyes scanned the room, noting all exits and the positions of various alien diplomats. "I don't like this," Samantha whispered. "Emergency sessions are never good news for newcomers like us." Eric nodded slightly. "Just remember, whatever happens, stay calm. We represent all of humanity here." The lights dimmed, and Professor Zarthul glided onto the stage. His forearms moved in graceful patterns as he activated the holographic display. His skin shimmered under the lights, and his large pupilless eyes surveyed the audience. "Esteemed colleagues," the professor began, his voice translated into multiple languages simultaneously. "For the past 50 years I have studied the newest members of our galactic community, humans. Today I must share a conclusion that many will find troubling." The room grew silent. Samantha felt her heart beat faster. "Humans," Zarthul continued, "are not the simple omnivores they appear to be. After extensive research, I have classified them as the most dangerous apex predators yet encountered in our known universe." Gasps and clicks of alarm spread through the audience. A diplomat from the peaceful Florian collective wilted visibly in her seat. The representatives from the Warrior, Krell Dominion, leaned forward with newfound interest. "This is absurd," Samantha whispered to Eric. "We're hardly the strongest or fastest species here." Professor Zarthul raised his upper arms for silence. "Let me present my evidence." The holographic display filled with images of Earth's history. Early humans with spears chasing large animals across plains, medieval knights in battle, and modern soldiers in combat. Unlike most predatory species, the professor explained, humans did not evolve superior strength, speed, or natural weapons. Instead, they developed something far more dangerous: endurance and problem-solving abilities that turned hunting into an art form. The display showed a human tribal hunter following animal tracks in the dirt. Most predators in our galaxy rely on ambush or superior speed to capture prey quickly. Humans instead developed persistence hunting, the ability to track prey for days, pursuing until the target collapses from exhaustion. No other intelligent species evolved this method. Eric shifted uncomfortably in his seat as alien eyes turned toward the human delegation. "Furthermore," Zarthul continued, "humans can consume almost anything. They can survive in environments from frozen tundra to scorching deserts. They can go days without water, weeks without food. Their bodies repair damage that would kill most species. They voluntarily expose themselves to pain to become stronger." The hologram showed humans training in gyms, climbing mountains, and swimming across dangerous waters. "Most concerning," the professor said, his voice dropping slightly, "humans view killing as both necessity and recreation. They developed tools specifically designed to end life before they mastered space travel. Many human sports simulate hunting and combat." Samantha stood up. "Professor, I must object. You're presenting our history without context. Yes, humans have violent chapters in our past, but we've worked hard to overcome those instincts." Zarthul blinked his large eyes slowly. "Dr. Powell, I appreciate your concern, but please allow me to finish. I am not making moral judgments, merely scientific observations." Samantha reluctantly sat down as Eric placed a calming hand on her arm. The professor displayed brain scans next. Human brains show unique activation patterns. They can compartmentalize fear, function despite severe injury, and experience something called combat focus, where time perception alters during danger. They can also bond deeply with group members and sacrifice themselves to protect others, behaviors that make them effective pack hunters. A tall, green-skinned diplomat stood up. "Are you suggesting we should fear humans, Professor? They number only in billions while established species count in trillions." "Numbers mean little, Ambassador," Zarthul replied. "Consider this. Most spacefaring species stopped evolving natural predatory behaviors once they developed technology. Humans did not. They simply redirected these instincts. When humans encountered problems in space exploration, they responded with the mindset of predators, adapting, creating new tools, refusing to accept failure. The hologram showed Earth's early space missions, highlighting the dangerous conditions humans willingly faced. Even their social structure reveals predatory origins, the professor continued. They organize in hierarchies, compete for resources and status, and mark territory. Yet they simultaneously cooperate on massive scales, behavior remarkably similar to pack hunters like Earth's wolves. Captain Eric Daniels finally stood. The room fell silent as the human military officer cleared his throat. "Professor, you've clearly studied our species thoroughly," Eric said calmly. "But I wonder if you've considered that these same traits also make us excellent allies. The same determination that helps us hunt also helps us protect others. The same adaptability that makes us survive helps us find solutions to shared problems." Zarthul's upper arms made a gesture of acknowledgement. "An excellent point, Captain. Which brings me to my conclusion. Humans represent something new in our galactic community. They are apex predators who have developed complex moral codes specifically because they understand their own dangerous nature." The hologram displayed final images: human doctors treating alien patients, Earth ships delivering aid to disaster zones, and human peacekeepers standing between warring factions. "My recommendation to the Galactic Council is not to fear humans," Zarthul said, "but to understand them. Their predatory instincts make them dangerous, yes, but also valuable. In a galaxy that has known peace for millennia, we may need species who remember how to fight." As the lights came up, the lecture hall erupted in heated discussion. Various ambassadors hurried to communication terminals, likely contacting their homeworlds with urgent updates. Samantha turned to Eric, her face worried. "This changes everything. If the Council officially classifies humans as predators, then we'll need to be very careful," Eric finished. "But the professor is right about one thing. They should understand us, not fear us." An alien aide rushed up to them. "Dr. Powell, Captain Daniels, Professor Zarthul requests your presence in his private laboratory. He wishes to show you his complete research." As they followed the aide out, Samantha noticed how other aliens moved away as they passed. Word was spreading fast, and humanity's place in the galaxy had just become much more complicated. Professor Zarthul's laboratory on Proxima Station looked nothing like Earth labs. The ceiling stretched 30 feet high, with floating light orbs that adjusted their brightness automatically. Strange plants grew from the walls, their leaves acting as natural air filters. In the center stood a massive circular table covered in holographic projectors. Samantha Powell tried to hide her amazement as she and Captain Eric Daniels followed the professor through the space. After yesterday's lecture, she had barely slept, worrying about the diplomatic fallout of being labeled galactic predators. "Thank you both for coming," Professor Zarthul said, his forearms moving in different directions as he activated various devices. "I wanted to show you my complete findings away from the political theater of the Academy." "Your lecture created quite a stir," Eric said. His face remained neutral, but Samantha could see tension in his shoulders. 3 trading partnerships have already contacted Earth requesting to review their agreements. The professor's skin rippled with blue patterns that Samantha recognized as an expression of concern. "That was not my intention. Science should inform policy, not create fear." Doctor slid open and another alien entered. This one had pale green skin with gold speckles and moved with quick nervous gestures. "This is Dr. Vexna, my research partner," Zarthul explained. She disagrees with my conclusions and insisted on being present today. Vexna bowed slightly. I believe my colleague has overstated his case. Humans are fascinating omnivores with unusual adaptations, but apex predator is both scientifically imprecise and politically provocative. Let me show you why I disagree, Zarthul said. He waved his upper right arm and the room darkened. A holographic display appeared above, the table showing a desert on Earth. A human tracker followed faint footprints across the sand. This is persistence hunting, the professor explained. The human follows the animal for hours or even days. Most predators give up if they don't catch prey within minutes. Humans simply don't stop. The display changed to show different hunting techniques from various planets. Quick ambush hunters, pack attackers, trap setters, and poison users. No other intelligent species evolved to chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Zarthul continued. This requires not just physical endurance, but psychological determination that borders on obsession. Many species hunt, Vexna countered. The Krell were ambush predators before they developed technology. But they abandoned those behaviors, Zarthul said. Humans still race long distances for recreation. They still practice tracking. They maintain these skills even when they no longer need them for survival. Eric leaned forward. So we keep old instincts. That hardly makes us dangerous to the galaxy. Zarthul changed the display again. This time it showed human warfare throughout history. Most species developed tools for shelter or food gathering. Humans developed weapons very early and continued refining them. You created tools specifically designed to kill other humans. Samantha winced at the images of battles. We're not proud of this history, Professor. We've worked hard to move beyond warfare. Yet your Captain Daniels here carries a hidden energy pistol, Zarthul said. Standard procedure, I believe. Eric didn't deny it. Protection is prudent even in peaceful times. The professor nodded. Precisely. Humans prepare for danger even in safety. This vigilance is a predatory trait. Vexna made a chirping sound of disagreement. The Morel Collective prepares for natural disasters that occur only once per century. Preparation is not unique to predators. Zarthul adjusted the display again. This time, it showed human brain scans alongside those of other species. This is the most compelling evidence. Human brains show unique activation patterns during crisis situations. The scans highlighted different colored regions, as the professor explained. When faced with danger, most intelligent species show overwhelming activity in fear centers. Fear is useful. It makes creatures run from threats. But human brains do something different. Their problem-solving centers stay active even during extreme fear. Some humans even show increased cognitive function during danger. Samantha watched the display with growing unease. She had never considered these aspects of human psychology unusual. Let me demonstrate, Zarthul said. He pressed a button, and suddenly, a loud alarm blared. Red emergency lights flashed throughout the lab. Both Samantha and Eric immediately moved to defensive positions, backs against the nearest wall, eyes scanning for threats. Vexna, by contrast, froze completely, her skin turning pale. Station emergency protocols activated, a computerized voice announced. This is a demonstration. Only, Zarthul silenced the alarm. Did you notice? Both humans immediately assessed escape routes, potential weapons, and defensive positions. Dr. Vexna, like most non-predatory species, froze until the threat could be evaluated. Humans don't wait to understand the danger. They prepare to fight it. That was unnecessary, Eric said, his voice tight with controlled anger. But illustrative, the professor replied. Now watch this. He activated another hologram showing recordings from various human athletic competitions. Marathon runners collapsing at finish lines, mountain climbers continuing despite injuries, swimmers pushing through exhaustion. Humans voluntarily endure pain that would stop most species, Zarthul explained. You call it pushing through the wall or second wind, the ability to override your body's warning signals. Many species have endurance, Vexna argued. Not like this, Zarthul countered. not combined with problem-solving and tool use. A Trellian can run longer than a human, but lacks the strategic thinking to use terrain to advantage. A Volari has better problem-solving but lacks physical endurance. Samantha finally understood. It's the combination that concerns you. Precisely. All four of Zarthul's arms gesticulated excitedly. Humans possess a unique blend of traits never before seen together: endurance, adaptability, strategic thinking, and social cooperation. Each trait exists in other species, but never all together. Eric crossed his arms. And this makes us dangerous? It makes you the perfect hunters, Zarthul said, but also potentially perfect guardians. That's what fascinates me most. He changed the display one final time, showing humans rescuing others during disasters, treating injured animals, and defending weaker allies. The same instincts that make humans dangerous hunters also drive them to protect others, the professor said. You use predatory skills for defense as well as hunting. As they left the laboratory hours later, Samantha and Eric walked silently through the station corridors. Other aliens moved aside, giving them extra space. Do you think he's right? Samantha finally asked. Eric considered the question carefully. Maybe. But whether he's right or wrong doesn't matter now. The galaxy sees us differently, and we need to be careful about how we respond. A message alert beeped on both their communicators. The Earth Alliance headquarters was calling an emergency meeting to address the diplomatic crisis spreading across the galaxy. The classification of humans as apex predators was creating far more trouble than Professor Zarthul had anticipated. News of Professor Zarthul's research spread quickly through the galaxy. Within days, human ambassadors faced uncomfortable questions at every diplomatic meeting. Trade ships reported strange delays at ports where they had once been welcome. Some planets even denied landing rights to human vessels without explanation. Ambassador Linda Martinez stood before the Galactic Senate, her normally confident posture strained after 3 straight days of emergency meetings. The Grand Senate chamber stretched high above her, with thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds watching from their hover platforms. Distinguished delegates, Linda began, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. I stand before you to address concerns about humanity's classification as apex predators. While we respect the scientific process, we must separate biological history from current reality. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. On a raised platform, the 7 members of the Galactic Council observed silently. Their species had governed interstellar relations for millennia. Humans have evolved beyond our origins, Linda continued. Yes, we once hunted for survival. So did many of your species. But we've built civilizations based on cooperation, art, and peaceful exploration. The delegate from Trell Prime, a tall being with crystalline skin, pressed his communication button. Yet your history shows continuous warfare until mere centuries ago. Some human nations still maintain military forces despite joining a peaceful galactic community. Linda nodded respectfully. We maintain defensive capabilities, as do most members of this Senate. The difference is not in our actions, but in how Professor Zarthul's classification has suddenly reframed them. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Captain Eric Daniels stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon. The ship hovered just outside the docking range of Station Epsilon, a trading hub where they had visited many times before. Captain, they're denying our docking request again, said Lieutenant Kelly Adams, the communications officer. Her blonde hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression showed growing frustration. They claim all bays are full, but sensors show at least 12 empty spots. Eric frowned. This was the 3rd station to delay or deny them in the past week. Send visual confirmation of the empty bays and remind them of Trade Regulation 47B. They cannot deny landing without cause. Sir, called out the sensor operator, I'm picking up an emergency beacon from the mining colony on Varus 4. It's under attack. Eric moved quickly to the sensor station. Details? The signal identifies the attackers as the Black Void pirates. 3 ships hit the colony's main facility 20 minutes ago. Eric's mind raced through options. Varus 4 was only 30 minutes away at maximum speed. Station Epsilon was the closest official help, but given their reception, Lieutenant, Adam, send a message to Station Epsilon informing them of the attack. Tell them we are responding and request backup. He turned to his pilot. Set course for Varus 4, maximum speed. Sir, Kelly said hesitantly. Station Epsilon has responded. They're ordering us not to interfere. They say they'll handle it and that our intervention might escalate the situation. Eric's jaw tightened. How long would it take their security forces to reach Varus 4? At least 2 hours, sir. The colonists don't have 2 hours. Set course, as ordered. Back on Earth, Dr. Samantha Powell sat in a cramped meeting room at the Earth Alliance headquarters. Military leaders and scientists had been debating for hours. General Frank Wilson slammed his hand on the table. We should embrace this apex predator label. Let the galaxy know we're not to be trifled with. That would only confirm their fears, Samantha countered. We need to show we're more than our biological history. Admiral Gloria Martinez, Linda's mother and head of the Earth Defense Fleet, shook her head. It may be too late for that. 3 trade agreements canceled, 2 scientific missions rejected, and reports of harassment against humans on alien worlds. A junior officer entered and handed the Admiral a message. Her face darkened as she read it. Captain Daniels and the Horizon are responding to a pirate attack on Varus 4 against direct orders from Station Epsilon authorities. Samantha felt her stomach sink. He's playing right into the stereotype. They'll say this proves humans are aggressive and don't follow rules. Or, the Admiral said thoughtfully, he's proving humans protect the vulnerable, even at personal cost. It depends on how the story is told. At Proxima Station, Professor Zarthul faced his own backlash. The Academy Board had called him for questioning about the political impact of his research. Your classification has created a diplomatic incident, said the board chairperson, a tall avian being. Several worlds are now demanding special security protocols for human visitors. Science must pursue truth, not political convenience. Zarthul responded, his skin flushing dark blue with emotion. My research is sound. Yet incomplete, added Dr. Vexna, who sat at the side of the room. You focused on predatory traits without equal attention to humans' protective instincts and moral frameworks. Zarthul's upper arms moved in reluctant agreement. Perhaps I emphasized certain aspects over others, but the core finding remains valid. Humans combine traits in ways no other species does. The board requires you to issue a clarification, the chairperson said. Acknowledge that your findings represent only one perspective on human evolution. Meanwhile, on Varus 4, the Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the mining colony. Smoke rose from several buildings. 3 sleek black ships with red markings, the signature of the Black Void pirates, circled the main facility. Shields up, Eric ordered. Weapons on standby, but don't fire unless fired upon. Sir, we're being hailed by the pirate ships, Lieutenant Adams reported. On screen, a reptilian face appeared on the main display. Human vessel, this is Captain Drex of the Black Void. This matter doesn't concern you. Leave now, or we will fire. This is Captain Eric Daniels of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. You are attacking an unarmed colony in violation of galactic law. Withdraw immediately. The pirate laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. We outnumber you 3-1, human. Your kind may be called predators, but we are the hunters today. Eric smiled slightly. You've heard Professor Zarthul's lecture, then? Did you listen to the part about human tactical thinking? Before Drex could respond, Eric nodded to his tactical officer. The Horizon fired precise shots at the propulsion systems of all 3 pirate ships simultaneously. None exploded, but all 3 suddenly drifted, unable to maintain position. You see, Eric continued calmly, predators don't waste energy. They disable their targets efficiently. As the Horizon moved to rescue the colonists, news of the confrontation spread across the galaxy. The story told itself in 2 ways. Some saw dangerous humans intervening where they weren't wanted, while others saw guardians protecting the vulnerable when no one else would. The truth, as Professor Zarthul was beginning to realize, was far more complex than any single classification could capture. The emergency alert sounded throughout the Galactic Senate building. interrupting Ambassador Linda Martinez mid-speech. Red lights flashed as the massive screens around the chamber displayed urgent warning messages. "Attention all delegates," announced a calm computerized voice. "The VREX have awakened in Sector 7. This is not a drill. Please report to your designated safety areas." Panic rippled through the Senate. Species from across the galaxy reacted with horror at the news. The VREX were not a political entity or rival civilization. They were ancient biological weapons created millennia ago by a long-extinct race. Essentially mindless predators, they consumed all organic matter in their path, multiplying rapidly until entire planets were stripped bare. They had been discovered in hibernation 50 years earlier, and the Galactic Federation had contained them with powerful energy barriers. Now somehow they had broken free. Linda remained at her podium, watching as delegates rushed for exits. She noticed with interest that the human delegation moved calmly, helping fallen aliens and directing traffic away from blocked doorways. 3 days later, Captain Eric Daniels stood in the Federation Command Center on Orion Prime. After the Horizon's successful defense of Varus IV, he had been surprisingly summoned here. The massive war room bustled with activity as officers from various species monitored the VREX outbreak. Commander Krell, a tall, insect-like being with 4 arms and chitinous armor, approached Eric. "Captain Daniels, thank you for coming so quickly. Your message said it was urgent," Eric replied, "though I'm surprised you requested a human officer." Krell's mandibles clicked in what Eric recognized as discomfort. "These are desperate times. The VREX have destroyed 3 outposts already and escaped all containment efforts." The main display showed a star map with red dots spreading outward from Sector 7. "Standard Federation tactics aren't working," Krell continued. "The VREX adapt too quickly." "And you think humans might have insight into fighting adaptive predators?" Eric asked. "Professor Zarthul suggested it," Krell admitted. "He said that humans, as apex predators themselves, might understand the VREX in ways we cannot." Eric studied the tactical display. "I'll need to see all your encounter data and failed strategies." On Earth, Dr. Samantha Powell hurried through the corridors of the Alliance headquarters. She had just received an urgent message from Professor Zarthul requesting her help with the VREX crisis. "Dr. Powell." The professor's image on the video screen showed signs of stress. His normally blue skin had darkened with exhaustion. "Thank you for taking my call." "Of course," Samantha replied. "I've been following news of the outbreak. It looks bad." "Worse than reported," Zarthul said grimly. "The VREX are showing signs of intelligence we've never seen before. They're coordinating attacks and adapting to our weapons within hours. What do you need from me?" "Your perspective as a human." The professor leaned closer to the camera. "I've been reviewing my research, and I believe I made a critical error in my classification. Humans aren't just apex predators. You're apex survivors. You evolved not only to hunt but to avoid being hunted." Samantha considered this. "We did spend much of our evolutionary history as both predator and prey." "Precisely. Most galactic species evolved as either pure predators or pure prey. Humans developed a unique perspective. You understand both hunter and hunted. I need that perspective to understand the VREX." Meanwhile, on the Federation command ship Vigilance, Eric studied recordings of VREX attacks. The creatures resembled nothing from Earth. Roughly the size of wolves but with 6 limbs, translucent exoskeletons and multiple sensory organs. They moved with terrifying speed and coordination. "They attack in patterns," Eric muttered. "Like pack hunters from Earth." He called up more footage, watching how Federation forces had attempted to contain them. Standard military doctrine used overwhelming force against single targets, but the VREX simply sacrificed individuals and kept advancing. "They're using your own tactics against you," Eric explained to Commander Krell. "When you focus fire on one target, you telegraph your intentions." "What would you suggest?" Krell asked. "Unpredictability. Changing tactics constantly. No fixed patterns they can learn from." Eric pulled up a map of the region. "And we need to understand their objectives. These aren't mindless beasts. They're targeting specific installations. On Earth, Samantha had assembled a team of biologists, anthropologists, and military strategists. Professor Zarthol joined via holographic projection. The Vrex hunting. Patterns remind me of something, said Dr. Alan Rogers, a wildlife biologist. They're like army ants on Earth. They send scouts ahead, then follow pheromone trails to food sources. But they're also adapting to attacks, added Colonel Patricia Garcia. That suggests some form of communication beyond chemical signals. Samantha studied the data. They're treating Federation ships like large prey animals. On Earth, wolf packs develop strategies to take down bison or moose, larger and stronger animals, by working together. One distracts while others attack, from behind. Exactly, Zarthul exclaimed. But none of our species evolved as pack hunters. We don't instinctively recognize these patterns. Send this to Captain Daniels, Samantha said. He needs to know they're not just attacking, they're hunting. Back on the Vigilance, Eric had developed a new battle plan. Instead of the Federation's standard grid-based defense formations, he proposed something new. We need to act like a competing predator pack, he explained to the skeptical Federation officers. Protect our territory, but also actively hunt the Virex. Show them we're not just prey. Our ships aren't designed for such tactics, Commander Krell objected. Then we redesign your approach, not your ships, Eric replied. As he spoke, his communication device signaled an incoming message from Earth. When the Vrex attacked the mining colony on Typhon III the next day, they encountered something new. Instead of the predictable Federation response, they found ships that moved erratically, weapons that targeted unpredictable points, and tactics that changed every few minutes. In the Vigilance's command center, Eric directed the battle using principles drawn from Earth's predatory animals. Wolves don't attack the same way twice, he explained. They adapt to their prey's defenses. For the first time since the crisis began, the Federation forces held their ground. The Vrex couldn't adapt fast enough to the constantly changing tactics. They're retreating, announced a sensor officer. No, Eric corrected. They're regrouping. Predators don't give up after one failed hunt. He turned to Commander Krell. We've won this battle, but the Vrex will learn from it. We need to push our advantage while we have it. Across the galaxy, news spread of the first successful defense against the Vrex. The same humans who had been viewed with suspicion just weeks before were now being called upon for their unique understanding of predatory behavior. Professor Zarthul watched these developments with scientific interest. His hypothesis had been correct, but incomplete. Humans weren't just dangerous predators. They were dangerous specifically because they understood predation from both sides. And in a galaxy suddenly facing a predatory threat, that understanding might be exactly what everyone needed. 3 weeks after the first successful defense against the Virex, the Galactic Senate chamber looked very different. Where once elegant delegates had debated trade regulations and cultural exchanges, now military officers gathered around tactical displays. The Vrex crisis had united the galaxy in ways political negotiation never could. At the center of the chamber stood Professor Zarthul, Captain Eric Daniels, Dr. Samantha Powell, and Ambassador Linda Martinez. They had been summoned to present their findings to the Galactic Council. The combined Human Federation forces have contained the Vrex outbreak to Sectors 7 and 8, Eric reported, pointing to the star map. But we haven't eliminated the threat. The council leader, an ancient being with translucent skin that revealed swirling colors beneath, leaned forward. Yet this is more progress than we made in the first week with conventional tactics. Explain your methods, Captain. We adapted Earth predator-prey dynamics, Eric explained. The Vrex hunt like pack predators from our world. Once we recognized that we could predict their behaviors, Samantha stepped forward. And more importantly, we recognized that they were treating other species as prey. Federation forces kept presenting themselves as targets rather than threats. Elaborate, the council leader requested. Most spacefaring species evolved past their predatory instincts, Samantha said. When faced with a threat, you respond with overwhelming force but predictable patterns. Humans evolved as both predator and prey. We understand both roles instinctively. Professor Zarthul's skin rippled with blue patterns of excitement. This is the critical insight I missed in my original classification. Humans aren't simply apex predators. They're apex survivors who retained predatory instincts while developing prey awareness. The tactical display shifted to show footage from recent battles. Federation ships now moved in patterns that would seem familiar to any Earth wolfpack: feints, distractions, and coordinated strikes. We're using the Vrex's nature against them, Eric continued. They expect prey to run or fight directly. Instead, we hunt them back. The council members conferred quietly before the leader spoke again. Yet reports indicate the Vrex are still adapting. Our victory is not assured. No, Eric agreed. They're learning. That's why we believe the final confrontation must happen soon, before they evolve new defenses. Linda stepped forward. The Earth Alliance has prepared a joint operation. We request Council authorization to proceed. 2 days later, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history approached the Vrex nesting grounds in Sector 7. Federation dreadnoughts flew alongside Earth cruisers, with ships from dozens of other worlds joining the formation. On the bridge of the command ship, Eric and Commander Krell finalized the battle plan. Their initial rivalry had transformed into mutual respect over weeks of fighting together. The Vrex will expect us to target their largest concentrations, Eric said. Instead, we'll focus on these smaller clusters here and here. He pointed to seemingly random spots on the tactical display. Those don't appear strategically important, Krell observed, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. They're not by conventional standards, Eric agreed. But based on Earth predator studies, we believe these are their equivalent of alpha leaders. Take them out, and the swarm loses coordination. Samantha entered the bridge, followed by Professor Zarthul. The biological analysis confirms it, she reported. These smaller clusters show different communication patterns. They're directing the others. Like wolfpack alphas. Eric nodded. Or lion pride leaders. Commander Krell's compound eyes studied the humans with newfound appreciation. Your species' dual perspective continues to surprise me. You think like both hunter and hunted. It's how we survived on Earth, Samantha explained. We were never the strongest or fastest. We had to understand predators to become predators ourselves. The battle began at dawn, ship time. The massive fleet split into smaller, more agile hunting groups rather than forming the traditional battle line. Each group had a specific target and operated with surprising independence. From the command center on Proxima Station, Professor Zarthul and Dr. Vexna watched the battle unfold. The tactical display showed human commanders making decisions that seemed illogical by Federation standards, but produced remarkable results. They're intentionally exposing weaknesses, Vexna observed with surprise. Drawing Vrex forces into traps. A hunting technique from Earth, Zarthul explained. Many predators feign weakness to lure prey into striking distance. As the battle progressed, the human tactics proved effective. By targeting the command clusters, they caused confusion among the larger Vrex forces. What began as an organized defense became increasingly chaotic. It's working, Vexna whispered. They're breaking formation. 6 hours later, the last major Vrex cluster had been contained. Smaller groups remained to be hunted down, but the immediate threat to populated worlds had ended. 1 month after the final battle, the Galactic Senate reconvened for a formal ceremony. The Great Chamber had been restored to its former elegance, with only a few battle scars still visible on the ancient walls. Professor Zarthul stood at the central podium with Samantha, Eric, and Linda seated nearby. The entire human delegation wore formal attire, and representatives from every galactic species filled the chamber. Distinguished delegates, Zarthul began, his voice carrying across the vast space. I stand before you to present my revised research findings. Several weeks ago, I classified humans as apex predators. This classification, while partially accurate, was incomplete. The chamber was silent, a marked contrast to the uproar his original announcement had caused. Humans are indeed predators, he continued, but they are also something unique in our galaxy, a species that evolved with deep understanding of both predator and prey psychologies. Where most species specialized as one or the other, humans became students of both roles. The display behind him showed images from the recent conflict: human commanders directing diverse alien forces, Earth ships protecting vulnerable colonies, and human medical teams treating wounded from all species. The same instincts that make humans dangerous also drive them to protect others, Zarthul said. They hunt not just for themselves, but for their group. They defend territory not just to possess it, but to keep others safe within it. The council leader rose from his seat. Professor, what classification do you propose for humanity now? Zarthul's skin rippled with thoughtful patterns. I propose a new classification. Guardian predators. A species that understands the darkness of predation, but chooses to use those instincts to defend rather than simply consume. As the ceremony concluded and medals were presented to heroes from many worlds, Eric found himself speaking with Commander Krell in a quiet corner. Your people have changed how the galaxy sees predatory instincts, the commander said. We feared what we did not understand. Eric smiled slightly. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the predator that shows its teeth, but the one that hides them until they're needed. Across the room, Samantha and Professor Zarthul were already discussing a new research project, studying how humanity's dual evolutionary heritage might offer insights for other species facing adaptive challenges. The professor's controversial lecture had indeed revealed why humans were the universe's apex predators, but it had revealed something else too. Sometimes the most dangerous hunter makes the most dedicated protector.